What happens when the most disciplined player in tennis decides that even his current level is not enough? What happens when a player who already dominated the tour suddenly decides to train twice as hard just to chase one man? Because right now there is one name standing between him and the #1 throne, and that name is Carlos Alcaraz. Right now tennis fans are watching something fascinating unfold, a rivalry that feels like the next great chapter of the sport. Carlos Alcaraz is riding an incredible wave of success. His energy, his confidence, his fearless style has made him the player everyone wants to beat. But the most dangerous thing for Alcaraz might actually be the reaction coming from the other side of the net, because Jannik Sinner just revealed something that should make every tennis fan pay attention. He is training harder than ever, pushing himself into double training sessions and giving himself almost no days off for months. And he is doing it for one clear reason: he wants that #1 ranking back. And what makes this story interesting is not just the rivalry itself, it is the mentality behind it, because if you listen carefully to what Sinner recently said, you can hear something deeper than normal athlete motivation. You can hear a player who knows the margin between greatness and domination is incredibly small. Sinner explained that in modern tennis you cannot stay still even for a moment. Every player is improving, every player is experimenting, every player is trying to find a small edge, and if you stop evolving for even a short period, the entire tour catches up with you. So Sinner decided something simple but brutal. He would not allow that to happen for months. He has barely taken time off. His training routine now often includes double sessions, which means hours on court followed by more physical work and then more technical practice. And if you understand the physical demands of professional tennis, you know how extreme that actually is. This is not casual training. This is the kind of preparation usually reserved for players who are obsessed with reaching the absolute peak of the sport. And here is the fascinating part of this story. Sinner did not say he is doing this because he is struggling. He said he is doing this because he believes he can still become much better. Think about that for a moment. This is already one of the most complete players on the planet. His baseline consistency is elite. His return game is among the best in tennis. His composure under pressure is often compared to legendary champions. Yet he still believes there are many areas where he can reach a higher level. That mentality is exactly what creates legendary rivalries, because on the other side you have Carlos Alcaraz, a player who brings explosive creativity and fearless aggression every time he steps on court. Someone who seems to thrive in the biggest moments. Right now many fans believe Alcaraz has the momentum. He looks confident, powerful, and in control of the biggest tournaments, but Sinner clearly does not see the story as finished, and you could see a preview of his mindset during his opening match at Indian Wells. His opponent was Delibers Forcina, a qualifier who was hoping to create a surprise moment, but what happened instead was a demonstration of complete control. Sinner won the match 6-1, 6-1 in just over an hour, and while the scoreline already looks brutal, the real story was how he dominated his service games. At one point he dropped only 2 points on serve, which is the kind of statistic that tells you a player is not just winning. He is dictating every second of the match. Matches like that send a message to the rest of the draw. They tell other players that this version of Sinner is not here just to participate. He is here to hunt, and the timing of this intensity is not random. Indian Wells is one of the most prestigious tournaments outside the Grand Slams. Many players treat it like a statement event early in the season. Winning here can shift the narrative of the entire year. Sinner knows that, and his preparation reflects it. He even arrived in California earlier than usual. Something he admitted was a conscious decision. The early arrival allowed him to relax, spend time with friends, even play some golf. But most importantly, it allowed him to train, because if you listen to his words carefully, you realize something interesting. Sinner says he feels mentally fresh now. That might sound strange for someone who admits he has been pushing himself extremely hard with very few days off, but this is actually a classic trait of elite competitors. When they believe in their preparation, the hard work does not drain them mentally. It energizes them, it creates confidence, and confidence is everything in tennis. A single point can swing a match. A single moment of hesitation can change the entire momentum of a tournament. Players who trust their preparation step onto the court with a different kind of calm. They believe they deserve to win, and right now Sinner seems to be building that kind of belief again. But there is another layer to this story that many fans are debating right now. Is Sinner specifically building his training plan to counter Carlos Alcaraz? Now, to be clear, this part moves into speculation and fan discussion, because Sinner himself has not directly said that his double sessions are designed only to stop Alcaraz, but the timing is hard to ignore. The two players have already created some of the most thrilling matches of the past few seasons. Their playing styles clash in a fascinating way. Alcaraz thrives on unpredictability, heavy topspin, sudden drop shots, and explosive acceleration. Sinner brings relentless precision, Powerful ground strokes and almost robotic consistency from the baseline. When these two meet, it often feels like controlled fire versus creative chaos, and that is why fans love it, because the matches never feel predictable. One day, Alcaraz produces a miracle shot that makes the crowd explode. Another day, Sinner locks into a rhythm that slowly suffocates the opponent. If this rivalry continues on its current trajectory, it could define the next decade of men's tennis. But the question every fan is asking right now is simple: who will control the biggest moments? Because talent alone is not enough to dominate a sport. You also need resilience, physical durability, and the ability to adapt when your rival evolves. That is exactly what Sinner seems to be preparing for. He openly admitted that there are still areas of his game where he wants more confidence. That honesty is actually refreshing in a sport where athletes often pretend everything is perfect. Sinner is acknowledging that improvement never stops, even at the highest level. And if you look at tennis history, that mindset is often the difference between champions and legends. Think about players like Novak Djokovic, who constantly reinvented aspects of his game even after winning multiple Grand Slams. Great players refuse to become comfortable. They search for small upgrades that eventually become massive advantages. Sinner appears to be following that philosophy, and the results might start appearing sooner than people expect, because his next challenge at Indian Wells is Denis Shapovalov. Now, this matchup is extremely interesting. Shapovalov is one of the most explosive shot makers in tennis, capable of hitting winners from almost impossible positions, but he has also struggled with consistency at times. Against someone like Sinner, that can become dangerous, because if Sinner locks into his rhythm and forces long rallies, Shapovalov will need incredible discipline to stay competitive. Still, tennis is unpredictable. One hot streak from Shapovalov could turn the entire match into a thriller, and that is why tournaments like Indian Wells are so fascinating. Every round brings a new test. Every opponent requires a different strategy, but the bigger picture remains the same. Sinner is chasing something much larger than a single victory. He wants the top of the sport again, and chasing that goal means facing the shadow of Carlos Alcaraz. In almost every conversation about men's tennis, Alcaraz has become the benchmark, the player everyone studies, the athlete whose energy electrifies crowds. Yet rivalries are rarely one-sided. History shows that whenever one player rises, another emerges to challenge them. Sometimes that challenge makes both athletes even greater. That could be exactly what is happening right now, because if Sinner truly pushes his limits with these double training sessions and finds a new level of confidence, the balance of power in tennis could shift again. Imagine a season where both Sinner and Alcaraz arrive at the biggest tournaments playing their absolute best. Imagine the intensity of a Grand Slam final between them when both believe they are the superior player. That is the kind of rivalry that transforms a sport, and many fans believe we are only at the beginning. But here is a question that I personally keep thinking about: how sustainable is Sinner's extreme training schedule? Because pushing your body this hard always comes with risk. Tennis seasons are long, brutal, and physically draining. Players travel across continents, adjust to different surfaces, and deal with constant pressure. Training twice a day for months could create incredible physical conditioning, but it could also push the limits of recovery. So the real test will not just be performance, it will be endurance across the entire season. If Sinner manages to stay healthy while maintaining this level of preparation, he could become even more dangerous, because a player who combines elite talent with relentless discipline is extremely difficult to stop. And that brings us back to Carlos Alcaraz. Does Alcaraz see this challenge coming, or is he simply focused on continuing his own path? One thing is certain: champions notice everything. If Sinner starts producing dominant performances like his opening match at Indian Wells, the message will travel quickly across the tour. Players talk, coaches analyze patterns, rivals pay attention, and somewhere in the background Alcaraz will be watching, maybe with curiosity, maybe with excitement, because the best competitors secretly enjoy being pushed. They want someone who forces them to reach another level. And if Sinner's brutal training routine creates that challenge, then tennis fans are about to witness something special. The next time these two step onto the same court, the tension will feel different. Not just another match, but another chapter in a rivalry.